Hi guys, welcome to November's book reviews.
Faith and Fury by Tiger Herbert, 3 stars. Recap. The scene, a Riftborn with powers, is looking for Warden Massok and finds a demon instead. She hires Celsor Renlar to help her find one and defeat the other. Review. I enjoyed the story and the world building. There's a well-explained magic system, but I did find the dialogue, at times, clunky, stiff and hard going. 1 minute the scene is high and mighty, the next she's as common as muck. The sexual interplay was clumsy, which was a shame because there were touches of greatness in their relationships. The fight scenes were done well, and I particularly liked the ice giants. Story-wise, it's a great start to a new series. A Shapeless Promise by Karen McRae, 5 stars. Recap. Anna is an illegal aura shaper, and after her mother's death, she doesn't know where to go or what to do. Her life quickly changes as her power grows. Review. Loved it. I got halfway through when I stopped to make sure there were more books in the series. Anna is a great heroine. She gets on with the curveball life throws at her and builds real relationships with the other characters in the book. The magic system is interesting and well defined with a compelling villain. It's a fantasy book, so there is a large cast of characters, but on the whole they are well differentiated. I'm invested in Anna's journey and I can't wait to find out what happens next. The First Spell by Lana Melian, 3 stars. Recap. Nikki lets Nate in and casts her first spell. Review. Episode 3, and we've moved firmly into the love story, which is fine. I'm a sucker for a sweet romance. I like the imagery when Nikki uses her magic for the first time, and the character interplay is natural. However, you wouldn't be able to dip into these books. They must be read in order. Acceptable Misconduct by Maria Riga, 4 stars. Recap. Isabel, a Washington DC law student in her 30s, juggles work with study and falling in love with fellow law student Tarek. Review. Dialogue makes up most of this novel and it's done well. I didn't find myself stuttering whilst reading it or thinking that it sounded unbelievable. Initially, I thought Isabel was acting like a teenager about her feelings for Tarek, but then I realised that's the whole point. Her reaction to being in love was beyond her control and driving her crazy. Isabel's insecurities and her reactions to her family were very realistic. I don't read a lot of romance, but I do enjoy a love story and the satisfaction of 2 characters coming together. Gerald Odman by T.W.M. Ashford, 5 stars. Recap. God Returns. Review. Easy to read with thought-provoking concept, heartbreakingly sad in places, but with flashes of bold humanity, and the finale was excellent. If you ever wondered what would happen if God came back to Earth, I reckon this book has got it spot on. Titania Academy Book 1 Fairy Mistborn by Samir Provost, 4 stars. Recap. Holly lives on the streets of New York, but when her aunt dies, she discovers she's Fae-born and enters a whole new world. Review. It's young adult, coming of age, fantasy, with a plucky heroine who discovers she has powers and is important. But that's okay because I quite like those kinds of stories. Yes, there are parallels between Harry Potter. You'd be hard-pressed to write about magical orphans without those parallels being made, but the author herself signposts it, so you can acknowledge it and move on. A few typos and the odd clunky bits of dialogue were a shame, but I felt Holly was reasonably well-rounded, and whilst the entire book is a trope, it wasn't by any means a boring read. It was a bit odd that Holly had everyone doing what she asked with no questioning, but then you learn who her father is, and some of that is explainable. But we must remember she is a child in a world of adults and people with more experience than her. So a little more world or character blending would have improved the storytelling. Yes, there's a love story, but it's sweet, and I hope a potential love triangle will cause conflict in book 2, which I will be reading. Jaffel Inc. by Heidi Goody and Ian Grant, 4 stars. Recap. Alice is on Jaffel Standard and works for Jaffel Inc., happy with her life and reduced brain function, not knowing any difference, until she accidentally unlocks her potential and begins to experience real living. Review. I really enjoyed reading about Alice's awakening and how she processed her new experiences. The concept of a Jaffel port and it being a way to control the population was very chilling. As always, it is the rich who profit the most from this arrangement. There's a lot of social commentary, and Alice gets herself into some hilarious predicaments. The brain whale was a little bizarre, but I liked the concept of the linked consciousness and how it saved the day at the end.
That's it for this month. I'll see you next month. If there's anything you think you should be reading, let me know in the comments below. Happy reading!